this part though. Come on, let's be honest here. When OPPAI attacks, Rudues is like, oh, he's on pantsu and some bra. I'm gonna pick up my pantsu, this guy's right. And then it's like, yeah, that's just. Oh my god. I mean, I love this anime, but this is one reason why I love it, right? Because, yeah, of course, Rudues is fighting this new, his father's new, stepmom, I guess. This is the third video I do this week about stepmoms. Yeah, we had the stepmom in Mushoku Rankings, the stepmom in Sakugan, and now the third stepmom here, right there. Miss New Grey Rat here, right? His dad is new girlfriend. And, basically showing her stepson all of the actions. So Rudues gets OPPAI attacked by his stepmom for like, I don't know, 3-4 minutes while wearing pantsu in his face. So yeah, I mean, it is some Mushoku Tensei definitely. Certainly a very... No, it's like going into that beast fighting stance. So this is basically like a Ghislaine, right, you know? So it felt very similar to her. And then when I saw the scene, I was like, well, it's not Ghislaine, right? But it feels kind of like his dad, yeah. So I kind of had it in my mind that, it's probably his father appearing here. And then, yeah, so dad, right, has been traveling with his one daughter, which is then, of course, Rudues' full sister, right? Doesn't matter too much. But I mean, of course, Rudues had two younger sisters born, on the same day, basically, right? Whatever, right? But of course, they weren't twins, right? And more like, his dad, of course, smashed both his mother and the maid, right? And they help, yeah. So he goes, has to remember, right? And Norn here is obviously the one that is his mother's daughter, right? Given that she's exactly like Rudues, same hair and everything, where the other sister, of course, has like a red head, right? Like the maid, right? So this is the, Rudues' motto. But this was interesting too, right? You kind of feel sad for Rudues because he's like, Onishan, remember me? He's like, I'm your Onishan. You know that, right? She's like, stupid boy, I hate you. So let's start with that. He has a sister. Because we knew that, two sisters, I guess. But he has a younger sister, right? She has no real memory of her brother, of course, because he left them as babies, right? And then of course went to with Eris, and before the teleportation, he left his sister, of course, with his dad and double mom, right, and to raise them, and he spent training with Eris and so on, and then they got teleported, right? So he hasn't seen his sister for a while, right? It's been a time since he saw his sister, and of course she has, I guess, no memory of her Onishan, right? So yeah, a little sad on that part for her sister here, because obviously she has no real memory of her older brother. I suppose she remember her sister though, right, that she grew up with before they got separated. But I guess she remember her sister, of course. But I guess she has no memory of her brother, right? And this is kind of like the first time he meets his sister. He listens to her memory, and she immediately just like, I hate you! You hurt dad! You're the worst person ever! So there's a little bit of course, depression that comes later, that he's basically the first memory that his sister is going to have of him, right? It's like him beating up their father, so, not a very good memory for her, for both of them. Oh, don't touch dad! Yeah, it's a pressure scene, definitely. She's standing there, blocking the attacks to her father, drunk dad. He's like, no! Taking the stance. Of course, he's a strong-willed sister, and obviously the anime is going to have more time skips and general time is going to pass, right? So certainly his sister is going to be a badass warrior eventually, right? She's already showing off her gutsy personality, right? I'm gonna guess his sister then. This sister, of course, talking about this specific sister, Norn, not all sister. I'm gonna guess she's gonna be like dad, right? Where Rudues turned into a mage, like the mother, and of course the father was like, I want to have a warrior son, right? I feel the daughter instead, given her, she's like, touch him, and, kind of muscling up in front of them, right? Yeah, I feel she's probably gonna become like her, more like father, right? And turn into kind of swords warrior, some kind of axe lady, right? She's probably gonna become more kind of physical, that what I would guess, yeah. She would turn into more of a warrior, right? A rogue or whatever, but more physically based. Where, of course, the brother is, as we know, of course, is a mage, right? So, yeah. And generally, of course, that she has spent this time now with her father, separated from the rest of the family, and because he is becoming drunk loser, but she still kind of lost her father, right? Spent time with him, so the sister is I guess, much more attached to the father than their mom, right? And to her stepmom kind of character. And I don't mean the wife, or I don't mean his new stepmom, I mean the old stepmom, right? Man, her dad, their father sleeps around. But anyway, you know what I mean. The first mother she had, right? She's less attached to them than dad. And that also probably makes her like to come, want to have the same fight inside him or whatever. So yeah, his sister is turning into some little warrior lead, I guess. But it was really nice. I love her blocking the fight. Don't touch that. Yeah. But let's talk about dad then. The big thing here. Drunk dad, yeah. So, man, his dad was never super likable. And definitely is not likable now. Well written though. Well written douche dad though. Certainly I would say. Because, of course that would happen to dad here, right? He reminds me of my own father. I was gonna say, sorry dad. But no, but honestly, it must be my own father. I mean, there's this tension here, right? That his father, to some extent, is blaming his son for disappearance of like his wife or mom, like his first one of his wives, or his other daughters or one. Like, well, why did you help out, son? It's kind of like that, right? And then generally, of course, Rudues starts this their meeting here after the fight to be like, oh, dad, me and Eris, we destroyed the village and we saved those people and so on, right? Kind of doing that. It was an amazing journey story, right? And his dad is like, yeah, you had a fine journey. I was dying there with your sister in the mud, right? Yeah, so he's the thing is that, and this has always been a thing right, between his Rudues and his father, is that his father is jealous on his son, right? I think that is the main thing here, really, that it stems from, which I think also been a good writing in this anime. I mean, I also really like this anime, right? Of course, these are my favorite animes here, but so I'm quite biased here. But one of the really good things in this anime, and I'm going to season 1 now, going back to season 1, right? Is that the father, while not figuring out that he's half an isekai main character, like why would you be like, oh, you're from another planet, my son, yeah. Why would he believe that? But it's kind of an other thing to say. But his father always kind of felt that, this is not my son, right? Like, this is another guy in my son's body. Yeah, he always was suspicious that he's not my son. He's too intelligent. He's too a very smart kid, to be my son, right? I'm an idiot, and my son is like a genius at like age 2 or 3 only. Doesn't make any sense, right? So his father's always been kind of an animosity toward his son, and I think that's like one of the best part of the writing, because of course, not to sit there and shit on other animes, but there's so many animes, of course, where it really feels like, why is no one questioning that the main character is like a super genius, right? At age 5 or something. Why is no one being like, you know what? How can you know so much stuff at this age? Yeah, like, there are smart kids out there, but the difference though is that it's one thing being smart, like in high intelligence, and having high knowledge, right? Rudues obviously shows both. He's knowledgeable and intelligent, and having knowledge at a young age doesn't make any sense, because no matter how smart you are, you have to actually gain that knowledge, right? So Rudues knowing stuff he shouldn't know, basically, right, as a kid, is like a big... wait a minute, what are you saying, right? So, there's always been this, like, that the father is somewhat suspicious on his son, on Rudues not just being a son, right? Definitely. Which I think is a great, again, part of the writing, because, yeah, I think that's much more reasonable how people should work. For example, another anime that I think does it well is Honsuki, the book smart girl, right? They want to make books. Her parents here are also kind of like, you're not a daughter, right? Yeah, they're also kind of questioning if she actually is the daughter, right? Because she's way too intelligent and so on for her age, right? And her knowledge is way too, she's like a super genius inventor, suddenly, right? And they question that, right? So I think it's a good anime on that point, definitely. So that's one thing, right? But then it also leads to this like fight between them. Who is the best? Who is the most manly, right? And so on. And as I mentioned earlier, he just liked that the son went into the mage route versus the warrior route, where the daughter is more like a warrior, right, and the son. But there's always been a thing there. So I think the scene here is really well, it has a lot of build up from season 1, though, right? That his father doesn't really hate his son, but I think there's a lot of jealousy, right? The father, since the father kind of thing, and I guess it's relatable because my father is the same way as me, right? No, but honestly, though, let's talk about my own family here, by myself here, but I definitely see some honestly relatability where, like, as a kid, I also was a super genius, right? No, but definitely, like, when I was like 11, 12, right, I was better than both my parents in whatever, math and science and so on, right? When I was 14, I was a math teacher at high school. I was teaching math at high school. for people like old age. My mom actually went back to get her degree when I was like 15 or 16 or whatever. So I was tutoring my mom in math, in like, college math when I was like 16 or whatever. Right? So obviously I genuinely had a similar experience when my father and my mom especially also was kind of like, why are you better than us at math, right? Or why are you better than us at physics or whatever, yeah. Which this is all true, by far true. So I definitely think it's like, yeah, if you have the kind of life that Rudues has, it's kind of, this is kind of how it plays out. Your parents are kind of like, doesn't hate you. I don't think my parents hated me, right? But they kind of have that jealous feel to it. Where it's like, why are you better than me, son? How can you be better than me at something? I'm your parent, right? You can't be better than me at something. You're a kid, right? And his father definitely has that feeling to it. So again, in my opinion, very realistic writing. For me, at least, very relatable writing. But what makes it good then is that, of course, his father's also, as always, I think, this is his characterization, right? He's kind of pointing the blame to his son here. He's like, well, I lost your mom, I lost your sister, and my other wife, right? I have a new wife, though, OPPAI wife here. But, I kind of lost other people in the family. And it's kind of your fault, son, a little bit. He's like, you stupid boy, what he said, right? Because some people are gonna say that, oh, what a disrespectful son or whatever. But come on, he's right. His father is blaming him for no reason, for whatever mistakes his father did, right? And it's pretty typical with an inept parent, right? Blaming their own kid for their own incompetence, so to speak. And of course, Rudues provoked him here. But it's a great scene, though, as I mentioned, in the season 1 build-up, because of course, season 1, his father did kind of was jealous at him and envious and so on, right? On his own son. He clearly disliked his son in some episodes, right? And there was a good parenting too, but he also has like a genuine dislike for his son in some extent, right? So him here trying to pick a fight with his son, and then his son again, of course, beating him in an argument, right? That's the thing, that Julius beats him in the debate, right? And then he can't handle that, so he attacks him instead, right? So yeah, I think it's a great scene. And of course, leading after Rudues then winning, he is using magic at him, and then the sister, of course, coming in and be like, stop! Daddy is weak! Yeah, come and protect Daddy! So, that's a really good episode. And as always, his author, I think, is very interesting, because I think he picks up on this interesting family dynamic and so on. I think a lot of other animes doesn't actually pick up, but are still happening in reality, right? You see it. So, yeah, I think it's very interesting because this author really writes, I think, very, very realistically. And it's surprisingly how few other animes are writing these kind of, family dynamics and so on, right? Especially in isekais, right? And that I think is good, as I mentioned earlier, because this is a dynamic you would see more in isekai, given that the main character is another person right, in a body, right? Yet it almost never is an issue for other parents. In Honsuki Court, it's much more a friendly term that the daughter is like a genius or whatever, but it definitely has a similar feel to it with the sister and so on. It's like, well, you're my sister, yeah. So that is I would recommend in this topic at least. But here also is a good isekai. Okay, it's a good isekai. Definitely underrated isekai because it has no action and so on. It's a drama isekai, but definitely one of the better parts of that isekai. And I barely can come up with any other anime where it really is shown like this, right? I guess in Slime, with Rimur's case, he's kind of openly telling them that he's a isekai character eventually, kinda, and he's like a god guy, so. But it's a very different thing, right? Yeah, these loving men. They're like, the love man away. But, yeah, really good writing. Now the question is, I mean, there's a lot of stuff they have to go back home to, right? Clearly he has to go back home and save his mom, right? He got kind of like a double mom back home. Grandpa is dead. They don't know that, right? Gonna go back, save the people there. Gotta, save his sister, save Sylphie, right? More time skip probably will happen. So yeah, I feel this might push them to go home faster. Now learning that, well, his father doesn't know exactly what happened, of course, but still, right? This is kind of building up that his father is, to some extent, needs to, go back and go home, and maybe they're gonna help his father and sister to get back home, though, right? Next episode, that would make sense. He maybe gonna team up with dad and his sister, right, and help them, and of course OPPAI lady and so on. Yeah, OPPAI warrior. OPPAI warrior. That scene was so Mushoku Tensei. He has like an amazing drama scene, emotional drama scene, and also has OPPAI attacks. Yeah, not an attack on OPPAI. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's the main character appearing as I'm the Pansu Man, you know, yeah, Shimonetta style, leading into Pansu Man fighting gigantic boobs. Yeah, like this anime, like it has the drama, the amazing drama and storyline and characters and writing. And then it also has, you know, like it's absurd, it's absurd OPPAI. It has like we got really a lot of them were really like bouncing them too. Yeah, they were like, oh, we're really gonna make them bounce. Yeah, this episode was like, we're really gonna spend time like doing this like jiggle effect for 10 minutes. Yeah, we're gonna jiggle. So top quality anime, definitely. That's why it's the best anime. There's no other anime with the jiggle effects of Mushoku Tensei. Well, anyway, guys, subscribe button, press that button, and so I want to see you guys tomorrow with some more anime course. And you can check out Miruku-san, because they so was a great episode too. And I guess I also want to recommend Osama Ranking. It keeps being Osama Ranking is like the only anime I feel could beat this anime. The anime gets better and better too. Man, I also have stepmom scene. So much stepmoms, yeah. Stepmom, booby, stepmom, nice healer, yeah. But anyway, see you guys and have a great day.